Are you trying to make $5,000 to $10,000 a month as a writer? Well, if you are, you need to niche down if you want to stand out. But the problem is, most people don't know how to niche, or they pick the wrong one and it ends up costing them time and money. So here are 4 quick tips to find your writing niche fast. Number 1, passion or profit. There are 2 primary camps in picking your niche. Number 1, pick the rich niche camp. And number 2, pick your passion camp. I have experience diving into both. Guess what? If you chase riches, but you hate the niche, you'll end up hating the work and burning out. And you didn't come here to find another job you hate. You came here to build a dream business, one you love showing up to every day. So while chasing your passion can still feel like work at times, and you don't always want to do it, I guarantee if you pick a niche just because it's where the money's at, without considering if you actually like it or not, you'll crash and burn. And that's not a recipe for a good life. Instead, look at your passions. Ask yourself, what do I love learning? What books do I buy and read? What do I love watching on YouTube? What do I love talking about? What do I probably talk about too much with my friends and family? What could I see myself still passionate about in 10 years? You probably right now have maybe 2 to 3 ideas popping up in your head. Make a note of them and move on to quick tip number 2. Number 2, what's your unfair advantage? Everybody has an unfair advantage. Maybe this is a natural talent like being super athletic, knowing how to talk well, or maybe knowing how to whistle out of your nose. Whatever it is, look at the things you're naturally talented at. If you're not sure what they are, just ask your friends and family what they think you're talented at. Then, look at the skills you've already built, the expertise you've already acquired. So these are the things that you've spent years building, maybe without even knowing about it, or without consciously thinking that you're an expert in this thing. What have you studied intensely for long periods of time? What expert knowledge are you known for by your friends and family? Think about your work background. So what kind of work have you been doing for the past 1, 2, 5, 10 years? What career, what field, what actual skill have you built up already? That's maybe not writing, but maybe it's something that you can use in your writing career. Number 2, what did you study in school? So did you go to college or university? Did you dive heavy into, let's say, fine art, or into business, or into something else entirely? Also, look at the hobbies you have. What do you do? What have you spent your time doing your whole life? Like, I'm sure you probably have, and don't say video games, even though technically video games you could go into as a niche. It's, it is an option. But like, look at your hobbies. Look at the things you've done for years. Did you play college basketball? Have you ever entered into like a higher level of competition for anything, whether it's sports or music or like, I don't know, a spelling bee? Were you a software developer for 5 years? Are you really into real estate investing? Are you a musician? Look at the things you're already an expert in, or at least a perceived expert. When you're a new writer, your expertise in a niche does 2 things for you. Number 1, it helps you land clients easily in that niche. So since you're an expert in it already and can talk the talk and walk the walk, you'll be the first choice to hire even if you're a beginner writer. So like your skill level as a writer, it's here. Well, it's really hard to land clients when you're new. But if you go into a niche as that writer and your niche expertise is here, this will be overlooked because you are an expert in the niche. This matters very, very much. So this thing evens out. So you'll be much more likely to be hired. You'll be able to land clients quicker. Number 2, when you do land that client, and this one's really important, you won't have to research as much. Yes, research is crucial, and you absolutely have to do it for every single client and every single kind of writing you do. There's going to be research involved, and that's part of it. But if you already know the niche inside and out, the writing is going to be way easier. So it'll be easier. You'll do a better job overall for the client, which means happy client, and which means more money for you. And you'll get to do it in less time. When you know a thing inside and out, you don't need to spend hours and hours researching and diving in. Like if someone right now was like, okay, write me a piece on like, NFTs and crypto and stuff like that, I'd have no idea. I just don't know about it. So like I would have to spend lots and lots of time researching. If somebody right now was like, oh, write me an article on like how somebody can, start a personal brand on Twitter, or uh, dive into digital marketing as a career, or dive into writing as a career, or, even be a new dad, because I've been a dad for a couple of years now, like, and like the tips and tricks on that kind of thing. Like I could literally, I wouldn't have to look up anything. I could just write because I know the things inside and out. So look at those kinds of things. Look at your unfair advantage. So this is the thing that you've built up without even maybe knowing it, or without thinking about it much. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's cars. Maybe it's sports. Maybe it is something else entirely. Maybe you are super into relationships. Maybe you have done sales for 5 years and you're like, oh, maybe I could write about sales. Absolutely, you could write about sales. Big money there. So look at your unfair advantage. That's your expertise and your knowledge you're already really, really good at. And if there's a crossover into the thing you're also super passionate about, you found a golden niche opportunity. So number 3, still can't pick a niche. That's okay. So when I first started, I didn't know my niche. I didn't have one picked out from the get-go that I was certain on. I had 3 things that I was like, I kind of like these 3 things, and I could probably write about them: travel, personal finance, and marketing/business growth. So what did I do? I started writing about all 3. So every day I'd pick one of the 3 topics and I'd write something. I'd write 500 plus words. And over time, I found that I didn't actually really like writing about travel as much as I actually just liked traveling. Personal finance, I liked it, and it was my second choice. But I could easily write about marketing topics. They were the most fun. And they felt the least like work. So I kept diving into that. 5 years later, so this is 5 years ago, 5 years later, and I still love marketing and business growth topics. I could talk about it all day long, and I could write about it all day long. Why? I don't know. I just really like it. So it works, and it's allowed me to be a 6-figure writer and keep going and keep writing. So it's really important to pick something that you actually really enjoy. So I finally narrowed down my niche when I just started writing on different topics. So like rather than twiddling your thumbs and like, oh, should I do this one or should I do this one? Just start writing the thing. Just start writing it. Do the same. If you're not 100% sure on your niche, that's all right. Go and write 500 plus words on a topic every single day. So let's say you have 2 to 3 things in mind, like, I could do this or this or this. Okay, today, write on number 1, do 500 words. Tomorrow, write on the second topic. Number 3, third day, write on the next one. And then just keep going and keep going. And the more you write, the more you're going to start to narrow down what you actually like writing about. Because thinking about a niche that you like and actually writing the thing, like you're going to be writing this thing a lot. So start writing it now and you'll figure out what you should do. So number 4, when should you pivot or keep going? So you picked a niche. You've been at it for a while, but it turns out you don't really like the niche, or you don't like writing the niche. There are 2 questions you need to ask yourself here. Number 1, is it the niche I don't like, or is it hard work I don't like? Because let's face it, building a business isn't easy. There's gonna be times when you don't feel like writing, even if you like the niche, but you just have to do it anyway. That's just the way it is. So the second question is, and ask yourself this: could I see myself writing 500 plus words on this topic every single day for the next 10 years? If the answer is no, then it's probably time to pivot. But, and there's a big but, don't be the guy who pivots every week into a new niche. It's not a good look. Pick something and stick to it. You can always pivot later on if you really want. And keep in mind, you can always build up a second niche into a separate portfolio if you want to diversify. Like, let's say you're like, no, I really love talking about travel and I really love cats and I just want to write about both. And like, that's just what I want to do. Go for it. Build 2 separate Google Drive portfolios. one with cats, one with travel or whatever the other one is, separate portfolios and pitch separately, and do them both. You're going to move quicker and you're going to get to full time faster, in my opinion, if you just pick one and own that lane and be the authority in that one lane. Because all of your marketing, all your communications, and all your Twitter can be that one thing. But if you really want to diversify and like do two things, go for it. Just split your portfolios up so they're not combined when you pitch people in each niche. Become the authority in a lane. And if you really want, over time, broaden your niche or try something new. It's a lot easier to land clients once you've built up authority in one niche. If you want to broaden and expand that over time, having that background of like just getting those initial clients, it's easiest when you have one niche. If you want to expand, well, it's a lot easier when you can show, hey, I have case studies and testimonials and tons of samples in this one thing. At least you have a lot of proof of your work, even if it's in a separate niche. So be willing to commit something for 6 to 12 months before thinking about pivoting. It's not illegal to pivot. You can pivot. Just don't pivot every single day. And just like really get into the writing. Just start writing the stuff. Bonus. And you're thinking this, but what about the niche's profitability? In most cases, you don't have to worry too much about this. Why? Because unless your niche is Mongolian throat singing, there's probably pretty good demand. And if there's demand, there's money. Now, I will say this, if you can pick something under these three broad categories, there's a good chance there will always be demand. Number 1, health. Number 2, wealth. Number 3, relationships. Why those 3? Because humans desire these 3 things the most. But it's most important to find something at the crossroads of passion and expertise. If you're super passionate about the niche and you're an expert in it already to some degree, you're going to have a leg up on the competition. And if you have a leg up on the competition when you're pitching jobs, you're going to be the one landing clients and making the big bucks and getting the $5,000 to $10,000 per month that you want and getting the dream life you want, the time, freedom, the location independence, and everything you want to do. So just to recap, start by analyzing what you are passionate about. What do you actually like? What do you like talking about, reading, writing about already, watching videos on? Then look at the topics you're already an expert in. This is your unfair advantage. You immediately have a step up. You are starting out of the gate, not at the start line. You're ahead of the pack before the race even begins if you go into something you're already an expert in. If you're not sure, then start writing. Just start writing the niches that you think about. Start testing things out, experimenting. Write 500 plus words a day, and you'll start to narrow down what you actually like writing about. And number 4, it's okay to pivot if you need to. Just try something out though. Give something a shot and start writing every day. And if after a while you're like, you know what, I just really don't actually like writing about this thing, go try something new. Just go. That's all right. As long as you keep writing, you keep progressing, and you're ready to commit to this thing long term. So if you enjoyed this, follow me at StoryCopy, subscribe for more.